Hi, it's Alexis. In this video, I'm going to explain you how you can rebuild yourself after a breakup. I've been in your situation. I know how hard it could be to manage a breakup. We feel our world is sort of collapsing around us. We feel like everything we believed, everything we loved has been taken away from us, and it's really hard to manage. As a result, your sort of perception of yourself, your value seems like at the bottom. Your motivation, nil. You don't want to do anything, just want to crash on your couch. At work, you're useless. You have problems sleeping. You have sometimes eating disorder. I remember when I was heartbroken, I was eating a lot of junk food. In this video, I'm going to explain you how you can grow stronger after a breakup. I'm going to share with you basically what I'm doing with my clients who want to feel better right after a breakup. Regardless whether they want to get back with the ex or move on, it's exactly the same process, and I will explain you everything after the jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So first of all, it is a normal feeling. It is normal to feel heartbroken after a breakup. If you don't feel heartbroken, there's a problem with you, actually. Romantic rejection acts as sort of drug withdrawal syndromes. Struggling to say this. It's basically cocaine craving. The similar areas in the brain are activated when we feel rejected by our romantic partner. This is something that I take from the Journal of Neurophysiology. I'm not making this up. And so what happens is when we are under stress, we have a high level of cortisol released in our body. Cortisol is not necessarily bad in itself when it keeps us alert, but a high level of cortisol creates a form of anxiety, form of depression, and that's what leads us to get that sleeping, eating disorder that I suffered when I was heartbroken. And the problem with this sensation, with this phase after a breakup, is that we tend to forget what normals feel like. And we feel like, I feel this way and I never get to feel better anyway. And I'm heartbroken and it's never gonna disappear. I'm like this, I'm shit. And so we sort of being obsessed by those thoughts, by those negative emotions. And we are stuck in that phase, and that's what I want you to sort of escape from. What it says about you. Very important, because when I start onboarding my clients, I really want to make sure that I'm able to help them. So if it's your first breakup and you don't have enough information of what is love, how should I handle things, and so on and so forth, it's very different than if you've been with that person for 20 years and they decide to end the relationship. If you've had more than one relationship, why is this one affecting you more than others? What was different? And there's a long list of things that I would ask my clients, and a long list of things you would tell me, like, this was different because of that, because of this. Maybe the kids, the history, the feelings, what we said to each other, things like that. The feeling that you have right now is the outcome of a belief. And I've done a workshop about belief and limited belief. And you can watch the replay on my portal if you want to have a look. It's very important for you to understand this concept of belief, emotion, because that drives also action. It's the core of CBT therapy. So Elizabeth, who worked with me, is a CBT practitioner. She can also guide you on this if you have any question. One thing you have to remember, however, because the subject of this video is not about CBT, is to remember that value is subjective. The person you are right now is exactly the same person you were one day before your ex decided to break up with you. You are the same person, but you feel differently. Your value, you feel like shit right now, right? You're the same person. It's the perception of your value. It's because that person rejected you that you feel your value is not the one you thought was before. And therefore you feel like immediately from this to this. And you feel the other is high value, I'm low value. And you create in your head thoughts around, I never find someone else. I'm not good enough. I'm too old to date someone. All men are, players. You can name them. Because you have you create this distorted reality. Because someone rejected you, your value inherently decreases in your head. So it's very important for you to change your horizon. What you're doing right now, and again, I've done the same. Replaying the story again and again and again and again. The thing you should have said, the thing you should have done. And I know it's very important to assess the situation, but the problem is the replaying again and again. These obsessive thoughts will prolong the healing process. So there's an element of reflecting, understanding, and of course, as a therapist, I'm all about reflection, and I'm very analytical, so I like to analyze things with my clients. But once we've done it once, we move forward. The problem with people in your situation, with heartbroken people, is that they analyze and then they're like, and they analyze again, and they analyze again. And they think that by doing it 20, 30, hundreds of times, they'll find the answer. The answer is not there. The answer is moving forward. So we need to gain a new perspective on the relationship. That will also create new opportunities, because the problem is that you have this narrow focus on that situation. If you take a step back, if you take a step on the side, you'll see things differently. A relationship is a little bit like something like a box or something. If you need to turn around, you need to zoom out, you need to zoom in. What you're doing is really looking at this picture right now. But perhaps like if you hand this to a therapist, to a friend, he was like, hey, but hold on. This is what you're saying, but I'm saying this. And there's this as well. So I don't know if it's a good image. I just improvise this one. Also, so the new opportunity is also to refresh your thinking process. Because, sometimes we probably doing the same, like when you see your friends, you talk about the breakup. When you see your parents, you talk about your ex. The idea is to talk about other things, to discuss other things, to learn new things. That's what we do in the Love Yourself community. Of course, I talk a little bit about breakups, but it's mostly about self-love, mostly about compassion, mostly about relationship, building security from your building a secure attachment style is way more important than looking at the relationship, looking at the breakup itself. So how can you move forward? How can you grow from this breakup? So the first approach is the physical health. It's very important because you need to have a holistic approach of this. We discussed about the level of cortisol that will lead to sleeping disorder, eating disorder, depression, anxiety. One way to feel better is to take care of your body. It sounds stupid. You've probably heard these tips before, but they do work. Because when you take care of your body, you also put in place the right framework, the right structure. It's also a way to show your body, to show yourself that you love your body, right? If you neglect yourself, if you eat junk food, what does it tell you? It tells you you don't love your body, you don't accept the person you are, right? You don't respect yourself. So it's very important for you to respect yourself. Having, sleeping habits, eating habits in place. Exercise. It's not necessarily, you don't need to go and run a marathon every day, but just go out for a walk, be outside. Also, there's a very important thing about luminotherapy. When when it's dark out there, you don't have enough sun because it's winter time, go out. Go for a walk in your local park. Because it also creates the right level of serotonin and dopamine. Mostly serotonin. It's the happiness hormone. Some people call it the happiness hormone. It's really triggering the chemical element of your brain and of your body. So we discussed before, the rejection created a lot of high-level cortisol. By doing those activities, will it help you get your ex back? No, but you'll feel better. It's going to be mechanic. Okay? I know you don't feel like going for a walk. I know you don't feel like sleeping. I know you don't feel like doing things or speaking with people. But trust me, what you do, you create those chemical reactions in your body. There's also the mental health problem, the mental health aspect as well, of course. So try to list things that would work for you. Some people, they like talking to a therapist, and it does help a lot. Of course, I would would argue that it does. I don't see any negative impact of going through therapy, regardless if you are trying to deal with heartbroken or any sort of aspect in your life, because I feel like therapy can teach us so much about ourselves, so much about our insecurities, and help us fundamentally being a better person. Mindfulness is also creates the ability to take that step back, to really stop those obsessive thoughts that create that anxiety, that creates that depression. The social aspect, because I think we are social animal, and not dating unless you feel like dating. Some people, it's easier to move on, to move forward if you date someone. It's just a question of expectation of what you want in that person. But socialize, it's very important to connect with people. And I would argue not necessarily to connect with your good friends, but with new people. Because then you can challenge yourself a little bit to be, to learn new things, to discover new things, to see, again, things with a different perspective, right? Broaden your horizon. Because what you have to do is to really, really break those obsessive thoughts. And unless you tame those thoughts, you will have a hard time to heal. It's really the key element, if you want to grow after a breakup, is to analyze those thoughts and tame them. And so there's a physical aspect and there's a mental aspect. You can disregard this and try to see whether time will fix it. And of course, 100% of the time, you will feel better at some point. People always heal from breakups. That's true. Always. The problem is how long. I have people calling me after 2-3 years after a breakup telling me like, I need to move on and I can't. And we do that work of, on one end, I help, understanding their environment. So how can they take care of their body as well as the mental aspect. So really trying to understand those thoughts, trying to block them, and trying to reframe the story we tell ourselves. So the problem, or the challenge you have right now, is how can you accelerate the process? Because, of course, at some stage, you will feel better, for sure. Accelerate and learn from it. Because I think one of the mistakes people make as well, and I used to be a bit like this, being an avoidant, is that I would suffer from, breakups, but then I would move on quickly without analyzing what went wrong, and sort of having or making the same mistakes again and again. It's very important because you need to ask yourself bigger questions. And perhaps you'll realize that you don't want your ex back. You need to understand what needs to change. You need to understand, the boundaries. If you're an anxious person and you've been saying yes all the time to your ex, and despite this, he or she dumped you, there's something that needs to change within yourself. And no wonder right now it's hard for you to deal with this breakup. No wonder why you feel you have no value. Why you feel like you have so low self-esteem for yourself. Because you've said yes, thinking that will prevent them from leaving me, from abandoning me. It didn't work. So what do you do now? Challenge those thought, belief. Challenge what you felt was the right things to do. And see whether your ex is the right partner, or whether you should create a new chapter, meet someone else. If you have any other questions about this, and I know it requires a lot of work, so watching videos is great, but it's also the work you put in. Whether it's about applying CBT process, learning more, having a look at the portal that I created where I have tons of content to really help you to share some tools. Have a look, put the work and the effort in, and trust me, you'll heal and feel better really quickly rather than just waiting for things to pass. Any question, don't hesitate to comment. Like the video if you found this video helpful. Share it with someone who you feel is struggling with a breakup. And I will see you next time. Bye.
For a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer.